All right, folks. As you heard in the intro, um, the situation is getting worse in Sudan. So for this week's version of Black to Africa, we're going to get into that. Please.
Mbabarauna, Homengo, Mbabarauna, Homengo, Mbabarauna, Homengo, Mbabarauna.
Yes, the motherland. It is going down in the motherland. It is the third year. We are coming into the third year of this civil war in Sudan. And it is really turning ugly. It began on April 15th, 2023 in Khartoum and has spread across the country, causing a humanitarian crisis. The RSF, which is the Rapid Support Forces, which is propped up by the UAE, another one of these Gulf state monarchies that, United States may or may not have something to do with. They control much of Darfur and parts of southern Sudan. Both the RSF and the Sudanese army are both facing accusations of war crimes. Approximately 13 million people have been displaced due to this civil war. This is now the world's largest displacement crisis, even bigger than Gaza. Gaza's got a few million people who are being displaced. Sudan has 13 million. 13 million. Mirjana Spoljaric, of the International Committee of the Red Cross has described this situation as a relentless nightmare of death and destruction that is always horrible to hear in the motherland. Now, how did this happen? They plunged in the war in 2023 after years of simmering tensions between the Sudanese military and a paramilitary organization known as the Rapid Support Forces. Fighting broke out in the capital Khartoum and spread across the country, killing at least 20,000 people, though it is much likely that number is higher. Last month, the Sudanese military regained a lot of its control over Khartoum, which was at least a symbolic victory in this war, but RSF still controls most of the western region of Darfur and other areas. More than 300 civilians were killed in a burst of fighting in Darfur recently, according to the United Nations, and more than 3 million people have fled to neighboring countries, including Chad and Egypt. Both sides in the war have been accused of committing war crimes. The World Food Program has said that about 25 million people, which is half of Sudan's population, are facing extreme hunger. Just think about that. 25 million people facing extreme hunger. The aid agency Oxfam is saying that the humanitarian catastrophe risks becoming a regional crisis in all of East Africa, with fighting spilling into neighboring countries. It is said that in South Sudan itself, racked by recent war, the arrival of refugees has put more pressure on already scarce resources, which is deepening local tensions and threatening the fragile peace. The United Kingdom and other Western countries have limited power to stop the fighting. More influence rests with regional powers such as Egypt, which has long-standing ties to the Sudanese military, and the United Arab Emirates, which has been accused of arming the Rapid Support Forces. Now, the UAE themselves, for their part, they've denied this, even though there's a lot of evidence that says that they are lying. Now, just how bad are things getting? Just how ugly are things getting? The United Nations are saying that rape is being systematically used as a weapon of war in this conflict. Yeah, that is heartbreaking to say, but it is true. Anna Mutavati, who is the regional director of UN Women, told reporters from Port Sudan that they have seen almost 300% increase in demand for life-saving support for rape and sexual assault survivors. A UN fact-finding mission in 2024 has described levels of sexual violence, including child rape, as staggering. So this is what war is, folks. This is the heartbreaking cost of war. The RSF and allied forces have been identified as perpetuators of a lot of these cases. Mohammed Rafat, who is the head of the International Organization for Migration's mission in Sudan, has shared harrowing accounts from many of the women in Khartoum. A lot of them have told him that they had been sexually assaulted in front of their injured husbands and their screaming children. So again, if you have a heart, if you have a soul, if you believe in God, if you believe in anything, these people can really use your prayers right now. Britain and the European Union have pledged hundreds of millions of dollars Tuesday to ease the suffering on the second anniversary that has killed tens of thousands of people. But their conference failed to produce a diplomatic breakthrough to end what the United Nations calls the world's worst humanitarian crisis. And the African Union, which co-hosted the conference with Britain, France, Germany, and the European Union, called for an immediate cessation of the hostilities. But the United Kingdom's Foreign Secretary has acknowledged that achieving peace is going to take time and renewed international effort and patient diplomacy. Please, the reason I brought this up is because I just did this, and I hope that some of you other people out there will do the same thing. Please contact your local congressman. For us here in Gary in Northwest Indiana, it is Frank J. Mervan. Please contact your local congressperson. Point out three different things. Three things. Please tell them what is happening in Sudan meets the definition of a genocide. Ask that your government put pressure on UAE to stop supporting the rapid support forces, and ask the government to please put pressure on the Sudanese armed forces to allow aid to get to these territories that they don't control. Again, you can call Frank Mervan's office, Frank J. Mervan's office. I sent him a message via his website. I went to his website, his personal website. I believe it's, if I'm not mistaken, it is mervanhouse.gov. They have a whole contact form there that you can send a message to Frank Mervan. And please, I mean, we may not be able to do a lot here from across the world, but we can at least urge our representatives to use whatever power they have to try to stop what is this catastrophic situation happening in the motherland. All right, folks, I got to take this I'm sorry, caller, I got to take this last break, and then I got to get out of here before Dr. Williams comes and kicks me out with the 2x4. So please stay with us here on WLTH 1370 AM so I can come back and mop up